Hello everybody, this is Llodg, and welcome to Reach. Today I'm here with another How Does This Halo game hold up after so many years video, and we are finally talking about Halo Reach. Now before I get into this video, I have to say that I am super biased about this campaign, and just this game in particular. While I did play a lot of Halo Combat Evolved and Halo 2 with my friends, that was mostly just the multiplayer. Even before we got our own copy of Reach, I heard stories of it from my friend, and we played this campaign so much that it's honestly hard for me to hate the game at all. So yeah, now that you know at least a little bit of my history with this game, let's get to talking about it. Halo Reach actually starts off at the end of the game. With zooming more into the planet, we can see it's been heavily glassed. And there's our helmet. And just off the bat, I just have to say I love this choice that they went with. Then we flash to our Spartan putting on that same helmet, and yeah, this is the first FPS Halo game that lets us play as a Spartan other than Master Chief, and not just any Spartan Bungie wanted us to play as, but as your own Spartan that you're able to fully customize however you want. And I think it's super cool that you're able to have your Spartan look however you want, and makes every playthrough of this game unique. Well, unique in that you have your own armor to actually customize them. So throughout the game we play as Noble 6, the newest recruit to Noble Team, which is a Spartan team made up of mostly Spartan 3s and one Spartan 2. Those being Noble 1, Carter, Noble 2, Kat, Noble 3, June, Noble 4, Emil, and Noble 5, George. And they'll be AI controlled characters throughout the game that in each level we can team up with them when the story calls for it. But if you're playing co-op, the second player will also play as like a Noble 6, though I like to call them Noble 7 through 9. So Noble Team has to go investigate some rumors about supposed insurrection stuff going on, and we interrogate some farmers that even speak a cool Reach language. What do you mean it's just Hungarian? Anyway, they say that there was something attacking them in the night, and we go to investigate and we find the Covenant on Reach. And for those who know the lore of Halo, this is a big deal, as Reach is basically the last big human colony, and the Covenant finally found it and are invading it. So most of the game is about trying to defend Reach from the Covenant, and we even have to defend an Oni base, kind of like ODST, except we're actually able to defend it. And now we get to see Dr. Halsey.
Repeat? Sounded like you said Halsey.
Yep, this is Dr. Halsey's first game appearance, which is really cool since she's been in the book since the very beginning. Also, I know Bungie didn't really intend this when they include her in this game, but it's nice Dr. Halsey is here for people who didn't read the books, since in the next 343 games, she's kind of a big part of them. Also, I really like how George respects Dr. Halsey much more than the other Spartans, since he's a Spartan too, and they basically see her as like a mother figure. Though maybe I just think this because every time I heard George say ma'am, I think he says mom.
Mom?
But she points us in the direction of what the Covenant might be up to, and we go to investigate it in a level that feels similar to Halo Combat Evolved's Truth and Reconciliation level, which I think is cool. Anyway, June and I find out that the Covenant has a giant army already on Reach, so we need to fight them head on. And in what may be the coolest cutscene in Halo to date, we really see how much of a war for Reach this is. And after fighting through many Covenant soldiers and even taking down anti-air turrets, we make it to the Spire and get EMP'd by the shield, so we have to travel to it on foot. And we get to go up this really cool elevator, and we shut it down and barely make it onto the Falcon. And this is so cool, we see a frigate actually blow something up with a background in atmosphere. Wait, what?
No, somebody tell me this ain't happening.
So yeah, the Covenant isn't playing around, even bringing in a gigantic Covenant supercarrier that's so big that it seems like the camera will never stop panning to the front of it. So we need to figure out how to take it out, because with it, the Covenant is able to unleash even scarabs onto the planet. So we come up with a plan to take a Saber ship up into space so we can take over a smaller Covenant cruiser for refueling, to then get on the supercarrier, to make a slip-space rupture to send half the ship to oblivion. And it goes without saying, but being able to fly in space, even if it's kind of limited, is super cool. You get to fight Seraphs, Phantoms, even Space Banshees with missiles, and it's super cool. So anyway, we take over the ship with this really cool hologram of Reach, and we have everything ready to go to send the ship and the supercarrier to its doom.
Well, I got good news and bad news.
What's the bad news? Are we going to take out too much of the Covenant for this to be a fun game?
Bad news is, time is fried. I'm gonna have to fire it manually.
Wait, George, don't do this. George, please, no. Wait, George, please. George! George gave his life to defend Reach, and in his mind, he thought he saved it. However...
Slip space rupture detected.
Yeah, we're picking up anomalies too. Are you reading it?
Slip space rupture detected.
Multiple Covenant signals.
Slip space rupture detected.
They're everywhere.
Slip space rupture detected.
The whole damn Covenant
Slip
fleet.
space rupture detected.
Yeah, there's a lot more to this game, and I have to say, the tone of this game can really feel hopeless at times. You thought you just saved the planet to knowing that this fight is far from over, and you just lost one of your squad mates. So next we fight through New Alexandria, not Reach City, and we see the return of spirits. Oh, and the brutes are here too, I guess. We go to help the ODSTs get extraction for the civilians, however, it isn't entirely a success.
Oh my god.
Mayday! 6 Echo 2, can you maintain altitude?
Negative! We're going down! Son of a bitch. I can't watch this.
On the upside though, we are able to reunite with Noble Team, and we need to destroy the Covenant jamming devices throughout the city, and hey, we even get to help Bug during the way.
I owe you one, Spartan. See you in hell.
While we are having a talk with Noble Team about the war, the Covenant starts glassing the city with us still in it. It creates an EMP that disables all of our shields.
They're still hunting for something.
Where does he get off calling a demolition a priority one?
Yeah, a Zealot Elite was able to shoot off one needle rifle directly into Cat, and without her shields, it was pretty much over for her. This death of Noble Team seems much less earned than George's. He was doing something good, however I don't think Cat's death is bad in any way. It really shows how much humanity is on its back foot throughout the war, and I'm sure it shocked so many people 12 years ago. However, we still have orders, and we need to head back to Sword Base to destroy all the information that's in there. We are able to bust our way back into Sword Base even though the Covenant are everywhere, and it's pretty much destroyed. However, we learn that we need to go deep underground into Dr. Halsey's research area, and learn that it has some Forerunner ruins. However, this fact doesn't really matter, but we need to defend our lab from the Covenant before we can go in. After we clear the Covenant, we see what Dr. Halsey has been working on, and it's this AI, Cortana. We need to personally deliver Cortana to the Pillar of Autumn, and this is our final mission. Delivering Cortana is what Halsey says could win the war, and I think it's really cool that they have us, Noble 6, deliver Cortana since she's a big part of the games that come before this. June goes with Halsey to ensure her safety, and it's the last we see of him in this game. Carter, Emil, and I have to get Cortana to the Pillar of Autumn. However, with the Covenant still hot on our trail, we leave Carter and the Pelican so we can hopefully get them off our back. For this mission, we aren't fighting through the Covenant tooth and nail. We are running past them as fast as possible. They are even dropping scarabs before us. However, there is one scarab that we're not going to be able to run past.
Situation.
Mother! We can get past this, sir.
No, you can't. Not without help.
Commander, you don't have the firepower.
I've got the map.
Silent copy. Hit him hard, boss.
You're on your own, Noble. Carter out.
After George and Kat's deaths, it may seem like an inevitability that Carter would go out too, but still, it always makes my heart drop at this scene, though it really is a cool death. When we finally do make it to the platform, Emil takes the mat gun to clear the skies, and we have to try and clear this platform for a Pelican to pick us up. When the Pelican comes, we see the captain of the ship, Captain Keyes. We give him Cortana, and as we are about to get on the ship, Emil is prepared to fire the mat gun at the cruiser so that Autumn can get off the planet until...
Who's next? I'm ready! How about you?
Man, 2 deaths in 1 level. Emil's death is definitely my favorite for how he goes out. Zealots come down to attack him, presumably similar ones that attacked us at the start of the game, and took out Cat, so it's cool that Emil is at least able to take out some of them with him. And you're able to see his body leaning against the railing, but with no one maining the mat gun, we have to stay on reach and take out the Phantoms and that carrier. With our efforts, the Pillar of Autumn is able to get away, and 3 weeks later, get to Alpha Halo, the same one in Combat Evolved. Yeah, this game is able to lead directly into Combat Evolved if you want to play them in a timeline order. You can even see Master Chief in his cryotube. But our story isn't over yet. With no way off Reach, we have one final mission: survive. This final level of Halo Reach is very different from the other games. This is a mission we won't be able to complete. Here you fight wave after wave of Covenant soldiers. Around you are various power weapons and armored abilities, and other dead Spartans who will share our same fate. This is definitely one of the most memorable missions in all of Halo. I'm sure everyone remembers their first time with Lone Wolf. As you fight and take damage, your helmet gets visible cracks on it, and eventually your HUD starts to turn off, so you don't know how much health or ammo you have left. No matter how well you do, eventually you will mess up. I think this cutscene is one of, if not the best in the series. The music fits the tone so perfectly, the camera stays with the helmet after Six takes it off, and you can only barely see what's happening. You can see him barely fight off these elites, and at the end, you know exactly what happens: how we fall. The game, however, ends on a pretty hopeful note. Despite losing the planet now, our efforts were actually able to allow humanity to come back after 40 years to start again. And I really love this since the game starts out with telling you exactly how it ends, but it's leaving out the part where our efforts weren't exactly futile. Delivering Cortana allowed the Chief to fight off the Covenant and do the things she did in Combat Evolved through Halo 3. And that's the story of Halo Reach. It's pretty simple, especially compared to games like Halo 2. It's a simple fight between humanity against aliens. There isn't any other hidden faction to fight against, but I do love it so much. There also isn't like any point of view of the Covenant, so we don't see the Prophets or Thelfidem at all, even though he's leading the glassing on Reach. I guess there are people out there that think this elite is him because he's using the energy sword in his left hand, but I don't know. There is a reason people want Halo to go back to humanity fighting against the Covenant, and this is why. So yeah, the story in my opinion has to be one of my favorites in the series. Now I want to talk about the characters. Don't worry, it'll be quick. So the main Noble Team cast is pretty good, I'd say. My favorites are probably Emil and George. Though they all have their moments, I just wish we got more time with them, and I wish none of them had died so we could have seen them in future games, but oh well. There are some side characters and they're just there. Dr. Halsey's a pretty cool inclusion, like I said, for her being important in future games, but it is just cool having her after like 9 years of her just being in the books. And to talk about the elephant in the room, this game does not line up with the first Halo book, Fall of Reach. This is a big problem for some people who love the lore in the book. There are certain elements in the story that directly contradict each other, like how Master Chief is given Cortana before the Covenant even finds Reach, or even that Chief never goes down to the surface of Reach during the invasion. It would have been cool for the game to be like a Master Chief story where we would go about to steal a prophet from the Covenant, then they come to glass the planet, but I understand and really like the decision to have the story not have Master Chief and bring brand new Spartans into it. This game also shows us another AI other than Cortana with Anti-Dot. I think she's pretty cool, though she's not as advanced as Cortana and doesn't do too much in the actual story. Though I do love at the start of some missions, she'll kind of give like a mission briefing with this cool map of Reach that you can even see certain stuff happening on the battlefield. Now to talk about some stuff that isn't the story, like the gameplay. The gameplay is like other Halo games, big shock, I know. However, it does add a pretty big feature being armor abilities, replacing the equipment system of Halo 3. Spartan abilities are special abilities that allow you to do certain stuff like sprinting, making a hologram of yourself run, a drop shield to restore health and shield you, armor lock, it just locks your armor and makes you invulnerable to all attacks, the jetpack so you can fly around the map, and active camo, which I'm not sure is in the campaign or not, because I don't think I ever found it. Let me know in the comments if it's actually in the campaign though. And yeah, I generally like them, some more than others. They allow for some interesting things that you can do while fighting enemies, and I don't find any of them useless, unlike how some of the equipment in Halo 3 felt like it just hurt the player, though I understand why some people don't like them, as they really only help the player, and it never negatively affects both the enemies and you. Like the other games, Reach has new and returning weapons. I feel like since that this game is set before Combat Evolved, Bungie hesitated to bring back everything from previous games, so it feels like a mixed bag of stuff that was in Halo CE and some new stuff. And I'll be honest, while I do like some of the new weapons, especially in concept, there are a lot I don't really care for and feel the weapon sandbox is a bit limited, though I do love some of the new weapons, especially the DMR and needle rifle, top tier weapons that I feel like should come back in every game. And since this game took place before CE, we have health, though I think it's handled so much better in this game. You have these layers that you can regen within, and health packs that give you full health like the game like CE does, so it isn't as intrusive as it can feel in CE. And I thought I should mention this, but this game continues the trend of no dual wielding weapons. I know instead in ODST it never reappeared, but that could be explained in a lore reason why they can't dual wield, and since this is a brand new game, I thought it was appropriate to mention it here as well. And something new in Reach is the assassinations, where if you get behind an enemy and you hold down melee, you can assassinate them. And you can assassinate basically all the enemies that have 2 legs, unless they're hunters. And they have a few animations that they'll run between. It's just like an extra cool flair of a melee. Nothing really special though. The enemies in this game really do feel like Bungie wanted to go all out with their last game, even with my least favorite enemy, the drones. That's not forgetting something, all the Covenant species return, and I really like how they are designed here. Except for the brutes, they have my least favorite designs in Reach. Like, why do they look like this? And the elites are not as good as Halo CE and 2, but they are so much better than 3 in my opinion. They are all also basically perfected with their gameplay designs, so there's no complaining at all from me on that standpoint. Also, the engineers are back from ODST and even have a new ability of not having bombs strapped on them, and they give the Covenant a purple overshield, which is super cool. Though they do still explode when you shoot them. Oh, also remember when I said there was only one faction? I kinda lied, there is another, the Wildlife on Reach, and it's made up of MOAs. And these things that I don't actually know the name for. These creatures are the only ones that attack you and only appear in one section for Nightfall. First time Wildlife is in a Halo game and attacks you, though I just wish it was used a bit more, cause it's pretty cool. Like I said, the designs in this game are so good. Like, I love how all the Spartans look in this game. I just love looking at the amount of detail that's in some of their armor. This is what I want all Spartans to look like in Halo. It just looks so good, and it makes sense while they are able to do everything they do without looking super clunky or slow. Finally, seeing Spartans in the story with something other than Master Chief's Mjolnir armor is so cool, and I'm glad it was done so well. Once again, I love how we're able to customize Noble 6's armor into however we want, choosing your armor color, helmet, all of it. You can even look like the other members of Noble Team if you want. I also just love all the vehicle designs, it's just so cool. The vehicles in this game are also pretty cool, like the weapons, they play it pretty safe, but there are a few new vehicles. Like I said, the Saber Ship, which is pretty cool, though limited in where you're able to fly it. The Spectre, which is like a mini Wraith with 2 seats, and it's alright. Nice to see more Covenant vehicles, even if they don't do anything particularly special. And the Falcon. Basically an upgraded Hornet from 3, except the 2 seats let you fire machine guns or grenade launchers, and it's probably my favorite new vehicle from Reach, and I just wish it'd come back to Halo. It was just so cool. The game overall looks very good for a somewhat later 360 game. I struggled to find parts that I'd criticize, and the only thing that I could see improving are the faces, but they are still really good. And I've already said I love how the enemies and Spartans look, and I've yet to talk about how Reach the planet looks. And I gotta say, it looks really good. I love the colors that are used for the planet, the cool blues and greens for the farms at the beginning of the game, and then when the Covenant come and begin to glass the planet, these cool colors are replaced with hot reds and oranges, and man, I love it so much. Looking at the sky's color, you can instantly tell that this is later in the game. I mean, you can especially see it in the missions where you go back to Sword Base. It really helps set the tone of how much humanity has lost Reach just by looking at the color of the sky. And if you've watched my videos before, you know that I love talking about skyboxes, and while there isn't a giant Halo ring in the sky to look at, I do love how Reach's sky looks, and there are points where you can look up and see sky battles taking place with Banshees versus Falcons. And don't even get me started on how good the skybox is when you're in space. Like, they really didn't have to go all out, but they did. This game is also about the glassing of Reach, you know, the thing the Covenant is kind of known for with human worlds. Well, there is a lot of it in this game, and I really love it. We've seen glassing in previous few games, but I don't know, I just think it's done so well in this game. Also, in the mission New Alexandria, we see the Covenant glass the city while we are still flying in it, and it's weirdly beautiful. I also love this game's cutscenes. Now, generally it's pretty similar to what we've seen in the previous games with a simple third-person perspective, however it's added onto by adding in parts of first-person like what was present in ODST, and done even better than that game in my opinion. but by also adding camera shots from security cameras and others that would be there to give the game a more realistic take of what someone would see if they looked on these cameras. They even take a step further by adding certain cutscenes using a first-person camera, but having it be like it's from a war news camera of someone just following them around. One of my favorite instances of this has to be in the mission Nightfall, where the cameraman will even look down at the steps he has to take. I don't know, I just think it's so cool and gives Reach a much more grounded feeling. I need more Halo games to do this as well instead of just going for how a movie would shoot the scenes. I also really like how the Spartans are portrayed in these cutscenes, like their movements and stuff. Like Emil is always just sitting like this, which is pretty cool, and they even have some funny moments of what they do with their hands. Like this one has a scene where Carter's trying to figure out where Oni wants him to go, and Dot says recalculating, and Carter's hand does this like see I was right motion. Now to talk about the music of this game, and unlike my other reviews when talking about the music, I actually have a lot to say. First off, I love the music in this game. It's so good. It does feel different, but still feels and sounds like Halo. Reach does have a really unique soundtrack with its use of the drums, especially. Like when you hear the drum beat, you know it's from Reach. One of my favorite parts of Reach's soundtrack has to be whenever it uses the electric guitar. However, it was really only used like twice as I can tell, when the Zealots first make their appearance and kidnap the scientists, which is a really cool use of it by the way, and when Noble Team is storming the beach of Saber Base. I wish it was used more often, but oh well. I also love the piano during Lone Wolf. It has to be one of my favorite parts of the soundtrack as well. My only really complaint about this game is that certain sections can feel weirdly hard, and the space section can make you go crazy because of how fast you can go down if you're not paying attention, and some of the checkpoints are a bit weird, but really, it's not a huge problem. I just like playing these games on higher difficulties is all. And yeah, I believe that's everything I want to talk about concerning Halo Reach. Like I said, I have a history with this game, so I am really biased, but I think despite that, Reach is a really great game that everyone should try. Even if you haven't played any Halo game at all, Reach is a great starting point and doesn't require you to know games worth of history to get into, and even leads you into the first game of the series. So yeah, I highly recommend it, and I'm not completely sure if this game beats out Halo 2 as my favorite Halo game, but I have to say that these two games may stand side by side as my favorites, cause dang. These are amazing. The characters, the story, the music, the armor, I love it all. Even if I do think the Brutes look their worst here, I still will play this game until the end of time. However, hopefully this next time I'm actually able to complete the last mission. I hope you enjoyed the video, have a good day, and goodbye.